if my team's 11-1 at the regular season, I get that you're losing to your arch rival, but you've been splitting these things with them. So I mean, am I crazy in thinking that Ryan Day's just not doing as bad of a job as people think he is?
I think that the criticism's justified. I really do, because you have to look at the way that this roster and the way that program was set up by Urban Meyer. They were in a national championship competing situation.
Well, then why didn't Urban Meyer get more chances at it? I mean, Ryan Day's coached more national championships in the last 10 years, or the same amount as Ryan.
Well, he's won one, and you could even argue that on a recruiting level, he was doing a much better job overall than what Ryan Day was.
I don't disagree with that.
I just think that they're still really good, but are you paying Ryan Day all this money? Is he your head coach just to be really good? Or do you want to be elite? Do you want to be – they played a great playoff game last year, but you got to get over the hump. And it feels like every year they take not a giant step backward, but it feels like they take just a very small step backward every single season.
Oh, I thought they took a step forward this year, if I'm being honest.
I think they took a step backward with the fact that they didn't have a quarterback who could win them the most important game of the season.
Michigan versus last year, they got run out the building at their place.
But I think that's a little different though.
You're a field goal away from beating Georgia a year ago. Okay,
with a far better quarterback,
quarterback, but you still lost.
The progression of quarterbacks
I can make the argument, Joe, that they're closer to Michigan than they were a year ago.
One team didn't have their One team didn't have their head coach though. On this, one of those. I
don't give two shits. I don't give two shits. You know why I don't give two shits? Can I tell you why?
He got beat by an assistant. That's not good. He got beat by an assistant.
I don't give a shit about that. Can I tell you why? And I think it's null and void, because last year he had their signals, and we got proof that he had their signals.
Okay, well, the whole signal thing is why the game was more lopsided. They don't have the signals here this year, and it was much closer, and you still couldn't frickin' beat them because your quarterback played like shit. That's where I'm getting at. That's a step backward. The fact that you go from C.J. Stroud, who arguably some people could say here, and I'm one of these people, could have played even better than he did at times last year and maybe was misused because he's playing, look, in 1 year in the NFL, he's playing at an elite level. He's been in the MVP conversation. Nobody thought he did that quality of work at Ohio State last year. A lot of people doubted him because he looked rough at times because he wasn't set up in as good of a position as he has been already as a rookie in the NFL. He looks better from last year as a rookie in the NFL against harder competition. And you go from that to a kid who threw multiple bad throws against Michigan and Penn State.
You know so let me throw this to you, my last point here. What if I told you a coach, first-time head coach in the first 4 years, played for a national title and lost, has multiple 10 and 11 win seasons in the first 4 years? Who does that sound like?
Ryan Day.
It's also Kirby Smart's record when his first 4 years at Georgia. So
okay, but he didn't take over a program that was in national championship conversation. He took over a weak in Georgia. He took Mark Richt put them in a weak position that he took over.
Georgia's always been in the top 5 of recruiting.
But
they had Rudy Poo, Mark Richt, who was just going to lose games. What do we? If you're,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Take over a dumpster fire, dog.
He didn't, but he has transformed them. Meanwhile, Ryan Day has taken them a step backward.
Bullshit. Kirby Smart's got a bowl cut and can walk outside and a 5-star standing right outside his door.
Georgia, and you have to admit this, Georgia's always been one of the better teams in the SEC. They've always capably been one of the that's my point there. They have not always been this perennial, always in the national championship conversation.
The teams that they're
Ohio
playing,
State has.
The teams that they're playing, though, don't have the level of competition that Ohio State had in the Big Ten. when you're having to face LSU, Florida, and Alabama with Nick Saban, Les Miles, and those boys, it's a completely different scenario.
But that's even more of an accomplishment that Kirby Smart's able to do all that.
But
Meanwhile, Ryan Day plays Iowa in Minnesota,
oh,
and he's
out of here. I told you
the shit out of nobody's.
So I gave you the resume. Both of them are equal. I said one was Kirby, and it's the exact same as Ryan Day. And you're like, oh, well, that's completely different.
But the circumstances are different.
When I didn't give you the names, you didn't say shit.
The circumstance, because there's context, there's necessary context that has to be added into this conversation that we're having.
You made me say the Lord's name in vain. That's how pissed off you make me sometimes.
Kirby Smart's a way better coach than
When we argue, can I tell you something? When we argue, it's the Irish coming out in you. It's not the Italian. Because
what are you talking about? Italians yell more than Irish people. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.